Hello and welcome to another Lewisburg Community TV video. This is Tertulia.
A bookshop like no other.
And this is episode 18 and we're coming to you from our shop. It's September. We haven't had a video for a while. It's been busy and we're just catching up after the summer, to be honest. It's been a very busy summer in Westport. So today we do have a couple of really nice pieces. I did an interview with Hilary Fannin, whose book The Weight of Love we talk about in the interview. Hilary also came into the shop and it was really nice to meet her and to do the interview. And we have Sandra Griffiths reading from her other language, a collection of poems from Northern Ireland. So we'll get on to those in a moment. And then this week, so what's the book club choice this month? The book club met sort of on the green a couple of weeks ago and you're now reading
The Narrow Land. And I've just started it, so it's early days, but yeah, it's a very interesting book, and looking forward to finishing it and having that meeting on the grass again, because we have to go outside. We can't do it indoors.
No, it's not your usual kind of book, is it?
No, but it's interesting.
Good for you.
It's historical fiction, so I like a bit of history and historical stuff. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's been very popular in the shop. We sold a lot of copies and a lot of book clubs read it.
Yeah, and this is an interesting book which I haven't read, but it's been reading it.
Yeah, it's our book of the month. It's most unusual. It's by Skeen Press, who have published this and a second book called This Hostile Life. And their aim is to give voice to minority voices in Ireland. This is written by a guy called Owen de Bardoon, and it's illustrated by Leanne McDonough. And these are traveller stories told by travellers, and the illustrations are by Leanne, who's also a traveller. It's absolutely a beautiful piece of work. I'm about halfway through it and I just absolutely love it. 10 pages into it, I just thought, wow, what a book. It's something we should all read. It's just got something in it for everybody. And I will be talking about that in my Mayo News article
next week.
So shall we go over to Hilary?
Yes.
So Hilary Fannin is a Irish Times columnist. Well, Fridays. She writes on Fridays and she just do some other bits, I believe.
A lovely writer.
Very interesting, lovely writer. The book is absolutely gorgeous. So I asked Hilary some questions and you'll see what she has to say. So over to Hilary. Hi, Hilary. We've got Hilary Fannin here from Dublin. And you're very welcome. We're here today in Tertulia to talk about Hilary's book, The Weight of Love. And so really reading it, I suppose a few questions came into mind. I suppose firstly, we know you write for the Times and that you've written plays, and you did a memoir, which I didn't realize as well. You've done a memoir. So why did you want to do fiction, and why at this time? Why after doing that other time, those other writings, did you decide, right, now's the time, I'm going to do a novel?
Yeah, I don't know really. I think the way these things happen. But I remember, I suppose in a way I feel that writing is writing. You know what I mean? You're kind of using the same muscle whether you're writing columns, and you've got weekly deadlines, or you're writing reviews, or the memoir Hopscotch, which came out in, I don't know, about 4 years ago, gave me a taste for longer form work. Plays are different because they're more collaborative. But I wrote Hopscotch and, I achieved whatever, 75,000 words. And it had been in the back of my mind that I really would like to try a novel. And then when I was in my mid-50s, I'm 58 now, and when I was about 55, my mother died and she'd been quite ill and I'd been involved in her care. And around that time, I got in touch with Trinity and asked them, could I do an MPhil there? And I'd left school when I was very young and I hadn't gone to university or any of that stuff. So I had no undergraduate, I didn't even have a leaving cert, whatever. But they said, yeah. And it was really, it's a long-winded way of saying it, but it was really that my domestic life had been very demanding for quite a long time, even though I was writing. And suddenly this kind of window opened up after Mary died, and I just thought I really need a change of air in my head. I need to open a window in my mind and for something else to happen. And so I went into Trinity for a year, and it was just amazing. Like, I was the oldest kid on the block, but it was a wonderful year. And Deirdre Madden, who's a writer I really respect and admire, was my tutor there. And she gave me just confidence to say, yeah, you know, you can do this. I had scraps like everyone else, you know, I had bits and bobs. And I learned, I suppose, the craft of creating the structure to make it work, to make a longer piece of work. Yeah, so that's why now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting hearing you say that, because yeah, when I was reading it, I heard all those bits in there of you. Almost I could see the, you know, the craft you have from the plays and the writing, and it seems to be in there, which I think makes this novel completely different almost to other, you know, it stands out for that. I think and now you've told me a bit about that story, I kind of see that in there too, that heartfelt time and the change, and it really does come across in the book. And I suppose then why you chose those characters. So there's Robin, Ruth, and Joe. Well, so far, who are those main characters, and where did they come from? Is there parts of you in there, for instance, or?
I think it was a kind of like, I don't know. You see, I hear writers sometimes talking about fiction, and it seems to me that they know an awful lot about what they do, whereas I don't actually feel that confident really about knowing. But I have a sense that those characters represent something about what it's like to wake up one day and you're 50 something and you look back at your life and you kind of say, is that what happened to me? Is that my story? Are those chords, are those strings that were pulled? Is that the music of my life? And those three characters represented a sense of loss for a time that's gone by, a sense of maybe hope for the future, that, you know, that there's possibilities still. And also very strongly, the kind of triangular love affair there was about the fact that we're very wrong to assume that passion dies, or that passion is less important or has less power as we age. And I think it's really, really matters that we recognize in ourselves that longing and desire and love and loss are really big waves in our life, and they don't diminish with age. My mother, you know, I talked about earlier, who died at 90, you know, she said to me a couple of months before she died, she said, Christ, I'm 90. I said, yeah. And she said, I feel exactly the same. She said, like, I look at this old woman in a mirror, but I'm not an old woman inside, you know. And like, I don't know. So Ruth and Robin and Joseph, I don't know, to answer your question, there are people who are very, who've had big, complicated pasts, but they still have quite vital futures. And so yeah, that's how it fell out. That's how the segments fell out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, I do. No, and I think this book will resonate with so many people, definitely. I mean, it certainly did with me because of the London side of it. And I know it's in the 90s. I went in the late 80s. So I do hear what you're saying about that the loss of the youth. And as I'm reading it, I can really sense that in myself.
Yeah.
Like you have Russell Square.
Yeah, I love Russell Square.
Yeah, and that was one of the first places I went to too, because my brother worked in a hotel there. So yes, I would have been in pubs on Russell Square too at that same age. So it really does resonate. So yeah, I suppose that you said it in London. I was interested in that too. Were you in London yourself?
Yeah,
or?
For sure, yeah. Because I worked, well, I had loads of jobs, obviously, because I didn't have much education. But anyway, I ended up being an actor, and then I had kind of a bit of work for a while. It was fine, and then work tends to dry up, you know, the way it does with acting. It's always up and down. So I went to London for a while, thinking that maybe things would be better there, and I ended up staying there on and off over a number of years. And I met somebody there, and moved into his flat with him, which Ruth does in this, and in this book. And so part of it, you know, was tying myself into that sense of a brand new city that became very important to me very quickly. You know what I mean? And it was at a time when you know, London is one of those places, you know, where externally it's got so much going on and there's so much money and there's so much action, you know, and yet there are these corners that are populated by Irish people, you know, and all sorts of other people, all sorts of other nationalities that have their own personality and their own kind of microclimate, if you like. And so I was trying to knit my memory in to that very specific time and place. I lived in King's Cross, and that's where the novel is set. And yeah, but those, you know, I used to walk and walk and walk and walk. I loved walking around cities and just walk and walk and walk and walk and try and absorb the place. And I miss it. I haven't been there for a while now, but yeah, so many Irish there. Like, you know, so many of my friends ended up in London, as I'm sure, and you know, you're saying you ended up in London. I mean, so many of us did stints in London. So many of us, I think. So,
Yeah, so yeah, the book, yeah, it definitely has that. It definitely has London in it. It really does.
and Dublin. So it comes back and forth between two time frames, two cities, and that seemed, in a way, again, trying to knit those things together was the kind of task of it, the structure of it.
Yeah, and it works, Hilary. I actually haven't finished it yet. I'm about halfway through and absolutely loving it. And it's amazing to hear your backstory too. It actually brings it more alive still than it did already. And I just love the way you write. I love the way you put phrases together, and I'm really envious. I've been writing a book forever, and the way you put words together, I absolutely love it. So, Hilary, are you doing anything? Oh, sorry, go on. I was
going to say for anyone who is writing, I mean, because I suppose I did have one thing in my head, which was like, I thought, you know, I'm 50. I mean, you know, I'm in my mid 50s, and this is my first novel, and I was kind of thinking, maybe that's not really a runner. Maybe that's not really possible. Maybe I need to recognize that I've missed the boat in some way. And then, but you haven't. Like, there is no boat to miss. You know what I mean? So people should keep going. If you're writing, just keep writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we going to say, Brie?
And then, yes, I will. No, it's true. I am this winter. I will do some more. And so, are you writing another book, planning another novel?
Yeah. I've been doing. I've been very busy this year. I'm very involved. Been very involved in Fighting Words, which is Roddy Doyle's and Sean Love's organisation here in Dublin, which is kind of Right to Write. And I've been working with people in young writers and writers in direct provision and stuff like that. And but I've carved out. I've actually let go of various bits of work now. I got through to the end of them, and I'm keeping my column, Irish Times column, going. This pays the gas bill, and I'm starting. I've just started another novel, so I'm gonna see how give myself a bit of time on it, and see if I can do it again. Like that's the funny thing. Like, you do it once and then you think, God, I can't remember how I did that. But anyway, I'll just go again and see what happens.
Oh, thanks, Hilary. No, I'm sure you'll be able to go again. And we look forward to seeing you again in Westport and
in your beautiful shop. So best of luck with it. It's a beautiful place, and it was lovely to pop in the other day. It's really good.
Thank you, Hilary. Take care. Bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Hilary.
And yesterday we had some visitors to the shop. These two books. We had Kayla News, The Wild Laughter, who you met, Neil. I didn't actually meet her, but we have.
It was lovely.
We have sold quite a number of
Really
copies in the shop. It's prose, and it's got fantastic reviews. I haven't read it yet. I have a signed copy to me at home, so I'm going to be reading that. It's funny and quirky about Irish contemporary life. So the bits I've read so far look fantastic. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And we also had her partner Paul Behrans. I'm not sure how you say that, Behrans. And I had actually started this book. I had a proof copy. It's just coming out now. He's a physicist, scientist, and it's a really interesting summary of what's going on with our climate change. He's written it from the perspective of the most pessimistic that can happen and the most optimistic. He's coming at it from a pragmatic approach that he starts off telling the story about around a dinner table when people start talking about climate change. There's the pessimists and the optimists, and you know he knows the facts but doesn't want to swerve either side of the argument, because anything really can happen. So this book is a fantastic summary of everything that's going on, and I think we all need to read it truthfully. So I've started that as well. It's my non-fiction, and Paul is lovely.
Yeah, and they're both books obviously available here in the shop, and so yeah, come in and pick up your copies.
And I think then lastly we go over to Sandra Griffiths. So Sandra came in to our shop during the summer, and we recorded this ages ago, and I'm only getting to put it on now. Our Lane House produced this collection of poetry from Northern Ireland, female writers, and all the poems are around the issue of domestic violence and abuse. It's a gorgeous collection, and Sandra came in and really nicely read her poem for us. So over to Sandra. Hi Sandra.
Hello.
Welcome to Tertulia. Sandra has a gorgeous poem published in her other language. We just got these in a week or so ago. It's Northern Ireland women writing about domestic violence, and I know it's been in our minds a lot with COVID and everything that's going on. So Sandra came in to visit us, and we find she has a poem in the book. So Sandra's going to read for us now. Thank you.
Thank you. Forget me not. You are welcome to those plums, my bruised purple fruit, that keepsake, a forget-me-not of daughter's arms, scarred and bloodied by self-harm. I am glad you have taken them, tasted their sweetness, felt their soft flesh. You have soothed their desolation and freed me at least a little from that stabbing sight.
Thank you, Sandra. It's so lovely. Thank you.
I guess that's it, Pete.
That's it. Yeah, that's us for this time round. So thanks to Hilary and to Sandra and to Paul and Kaylin for coming in, and the book club, and to Owen for his gorgeous book. So we'll talk to you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.